It's all right.
Greetings, black youth, planet Earth.
What it is.
I am Sun Ra, ambassador from the intergalactic regions of the Council of Outer Space.
Why are your shoes so big?
Are those moon shoes?
How do we know you for real?
Yeah, how we know you ain't somebody off Telegram Street, some old hippie or something?
What are you? I mean, we don't know that.
She for real?
He might have something going for him.
Yeah, we sure
Oh,
don't.
what kind of shoes is that you got on your feet?
Yeah, walking around all these funny clothes. Shoot, I know I probably take off running. I see somebody walking down the street coming, talking all that mess to me, talking about going to outer space.
I mean, yeah, what it is. That's what it is. What it is. We don't know what you are.
How do you know I'm real?
Yeah.
I'm not real. I'm just like you. You don't exist in this society. If you did, your people wouldn't be seeking equal rights. You're not real. If you were, you'd have some status among the nations of the world. So we're both myths. I do not come to you as a reality. I come to you as the myth, because that's what black people are, myths. I came from a dream that the black man dreamed long ago. I'm actually a present sent to you by your ancestors.
We are back. Yes, we are back. And right here, we are looking at the Patreon page. We are looking at the Patreon page right about now. And for the real ones, Ahab. Peace to the tribe. Peace to the tribes. We're going to be doing some exclusive content pretty soon. And basically this exclusive content will be the more in-depth side to, my research, my studies. That won't be shared and uploaded to the YouTube platform. Instead, we will go ahead and only have the feature right here for the real ones that come and, join and subscribe. And hopefully this can, help provide more of that pure water flow that we have going on as we try to support our new addition to the tribe by the way of the supernaturalist, which, also happens to be my son. So, peace to the real ones that's, been tuning in over at 432thedrop.com, because they definitely know what time it is right now, and they definitely know what's going on. So if you would, like to support the Patreon, go ahead and join. And you see it's right here for you. And there's different options. You can just pledge the $5 a month, and that's gonna get you, everything that we upload. And then, there's different ones between the 9 and 25. I'll go ahead and speak on that a little bit later. But yeah, we on to bigger and better things. And it's getting a little bit crazy on the YouTube platform, so we can't always be watching what we say and always walking on ice. So this would be the best way to go ahead and do that. And if you definitely like to support, man, Ahab, to everyone that's been riding with us so far, this is, the place to come do it. And, we're going to be breaking down a lot that I can't necessarily go ahead and bring onto the YouTube. So, for everybody interested, for everybody looking forward to it, we'll be doing downloadable content. We'll be doing music exclusives. We're going to be doing a lot, the whole nine. And this will also help provide a healthy, way of living for the fan band, for the family right here. And if it all goes well, man, I can kick back and do this full time. So that's our goal. We want to go ahead and do this full time. We want to be able to tribe up with y'all in real time and present this info as we usually do. But we're not gonna get too caught up on this. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section, or you can email me at naturalbylaw@gmail.com. And I'll do my best to get to you in a reasonable manner. The Most High is showing us so much love from the heart bone. It's crazy. It's crazy. The Ahab is, man, it's in abundance. So I'm more than humbled. I'm more than excited to get back to this platform and to get back to the real ones that's been waiting, because I know y'all been waiting. So I don't want to keep you guys waiting too much longer. We're going to dive into the realness like we always do, into that wata, that primary mem, and we're looking forward to it, man. I won't be dropping anything until, we get a certain amount. So do what y'all can, spread the word, and let's make this happen, fam. Like, it's up to y'all. You know what I mean? And if that's not the route that y'all want to do, then, it's no force. I just won't be on here as much. But other than that, if you're looking forward to it, like I said, come through and pledge whatever access that you like, and we'll see you there. I should have something up soon. I'm looking to drop 2 to 3, at a time. So we banging these out, and we keeping it real. So A-Hop to the Trizide, and we're gonna go ahead and continue. Peace, peace. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into some interesting things like we always do right here at this channel. And my whole approach is not to hold back, because this is part 3. And I hope you guys have been definitely paying attention, which is why I introduced you to the Patreon, because I only want to be able to provide content for those who are actually paying attention. I don't want to be wasting my energy, and my whole thought process. This takes a lot to go ahead and dive in, and to provide the insight that only comes from natural by law. So if you was peeping this, the classroom over at 432thedrop.com at the Naturalist, our last upload that we did, we was doing the drop that was inspired by yours truly, which is my Jigga. And we're gonna get into these, into some things. I want to highlight on this Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 4. And it goes, "And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire, enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass." And keep in mind that the burnished brass is no other than copper. And we always like to refresh the memories of those, especially if this is your first time, that when you look into the 1828 version of the Webster's Dictionary and you search the term American, it tells you that the Americans were the copper-colored races, the aboriginals, found here by the European. Alright, we're talking about the original Maroons. Alright. It says, "And they had the hands of a man under their wings on the 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward. Whither the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl, and they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went up upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went, thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. The spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of a terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above, and under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had 2 which covered on this side, and every one had 2 which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they laid down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood, and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne the likeness as the appearance of a man upon it. And I saw the color of amber, as the appearance of fire, round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Most High. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake, or spoke. Alright? So I want you to keep this in mind, in the details. Alright? In the details of such. The living creatures which had the 4 faces, and how the spirit of the creature was within the wheel. And one face was a man, one face was a lion, one face was an ox. And what was the other one? Eagle. Alright? Keep this in mind. It says, as the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. Burning coals of fire. So if you remember from the last drop, we was talking a lot about, burning, that of the ether, which means to burn, as you are the Ethiopian, the ether face. And we're going to dig into it. So let's go. Peace to the real ones. Alright, so here we have some images of burning coal. Alright. Burning coal. And, you already know what color coal is. So there's burning coal with the fire attached, the embers, the ambers. Right? said that the four creatures resemble something like this. Alright. Burning coal. And mind you, you know, from part 2, we were digging on the ether. Right? So let the ether, you know, replay in your mind. Also, when we're talking about the wills, let's get back. Alright, the will. When we was digging on this topic inside the ether over at 432thedrop.com, I was saying that, you know, I wanted the listener to envision chakras. And I still want, you know, those who are paying attention, following along, to envision chakras. Now, as we get back to this, you know, keep in mind the different codes, right? And the burning of such. And how it said that the creatures had feet of brass or copper. Alright, and we're just talking about you, never referring to that copper. We're just talking about the autogenous. You know, I mean, this stuff is some heavy-ish, but it's coded. It's coded in the esoteric, which is hidden. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next. Now, I started off with the Merkabah. Alright. The Merkabah is what we were looking at in that presentation where they had the humming going on. You know, I know some folks that was probably, you know, laughing at that shit. It's cool. We ignore the tiny vibrations. You know, but it says the noun Merkabah, a thing to ride in, cart. Thing to ride in or a cart. With the general meaning to ride. The word chariot is found 44 times. Alright. The word chariot is found 44 times. Now keep this in mind as we continue to build on this. You know, I want chariot to stay in your mind, a thing to ride in, and of the sort. Because when we go ahead and break down these words like we always do, it's going to come back full circle. Also, the fact that, you know, it had the face of a man, a lion, ox, an eagle, or so-called vulture. Alright, they were known as the living creatures. Now, the so-called Israelis or the Jewish folks of today wouldn't want you to think that these were, you know, so-called Elohim, you know, they wouldn't want you to refer to them as that, or so-called UFOs or aliens. But I want you to keep in mind that the fact that they were the same color as brass, copper color, that they look like burning coal. Okay? Burning coal. You know, this is why this stuff is esoterically taught and studied, because they don't want you breaking down the deeper meaning behind this. This is all allegorical, but at the same time it provides a certain picture, a distinct picture, once you have the understanding. And the Most High only provides that to a few. So I want you to keep this in mind as we're talking about these different beings. Alright? And I want to jump down here because it says the Bible later makes mention of a third type of angel found in the Merkabah. Alright? called seraphim. All right, the seraphim, which means burning angels. These angels appear like flashes of fire, continuously ascending and descending. The script said that they were moving up and down, right? That they were a will within the will. Alright. Oh man, where we go? Oh, we're gonna get that right back. We wasn't supposed to do that. They trying to get us. Alright, so and they sparkle like the color of burnished copper. Alright. And they went in all directions, but also straight forward. Alright. Straight forward. And their heads never turned. Alright, damn, why we keep doing that, Jack? Let's get it back. One more game. Shalaki to the real ones. And it says that their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, it went up and down among the living creatures. Alright. And it also said that the spirit of the living creatures was within the will. Alright, it says these seraphim angels powered the movement of the chariot. In the hierarchy of these angels, the seraphim are the highest, that is closest to the Most High, followed by the Hayat, which are followed by the Anaphim, the Ophanim. It says the chariot is in a constant state of motion, and the energy behind this movement runs according to this hierarchy. Alright, so I want you guys to pay attention to that, because this is basically going to be the core of this breakdown, for this part 3. Because we're going to give you an insight to what these so-called angels look like. We're going to break down what they don't want you talking about. Alright, so as we move on to the next one, the Seraph, which means the burning one. Alright, and this should already sound familiar to you. This should already be ringing bells. But in case it doesn't, we're going to get it like we don't know what's going on. We're going to get it like it's the first time. Alright. So, let's see. And this is an interesting word right here. Alright. We're going to be digging on that in a little bit too. But basically, what we want to highlight, without spending too much time on bang, look right here. It says in the second book of Enoch, 2 classes of the celestial beings are mentioned alongside the seraphim and the cherubim, known as the phoenixes. Alright. And they are a compound of brass or copper. Alright. Water serpent, which is a hydra. Brazen hydras are copper serpents. Okay, so these things are copper colored. These beings are copper colored. Just like, you, so-called Negro. Alright, the Seraph is a single version of one of these I'm gonna refer to them as etheric beings. Etheric beings. But the root of their name means the burning one, to burn. Alright? And we were reading that they go up and down where they are. And they have a fiery passion for doing the will of the Most High. Non-biblical sources sometimes call them dragons. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and keep it moving to the next one. Peace, peace. Alright, so these are the 4 living creatures, or the living creatures, as we were reading about. And notice that the root word in their name, or, in the actual classification of them, is live. And I hope you're keeping track of all these words, because we're going to go ahead and break them down like I told you. We're going to kind of fly through this because I don't want to spend too much time, on the Christianity, Judaism, and so be it, the different religions. This is not, to make anyone per se religious. Also know we got, a lot of super Indians. They don't like hearing this shit. But for those that like to skip detail, this is what I do this for, to bring out a treat and to show a connection back to what you think it is okay to ignore. There's wisdom in these words. There's wisdom in the script. And I'm just going to bring it out the way that I saw it, the way that it hit me, the way I was inspired to go ahead and do this drop. My jigger brought this out in a copper thread. Not the specific detail, but in whole, in general. Now notice that, we're talking about the Merkabah once again, and it's being referred to as a chariot. The scripts use the term will, so I like to make it interchangeable, especially when we're digging on chakras. Okay, because chakras is how you activate the Merkabah. And, we're going to go ahead and break that down too. But these living creatures were said to basically be a resemblance of what we want to refer to as the zodiac. Alright, and we're going to break that down later. I'm just giving you a rough summary, so when we go ahead and crash through all this, it won't be so off the wall. So we're gonna go ahead and break down this etymology like we always do, and let's get to it. So like we got in part 2, we discovered that the word day, alright, when we're dealing with daytime, when we're dealing with a day, means to burn. It means to shine. To burn, to shine. Okay, to burn, to shine. So you have these angels, these angelic beings, these entities, these energies that are said to be right up under the Most High, and that do the Most High's will. Your Amma and your Abba, that Hawa. They shine, right? They burn up, to burn. And the daytime is to burn. It is to shine. This is what we got in part 2, all right? As the so-called Ethiopian. We were the Ethiopian, right? It says burn. Burn is to be on fire, consumed by fire, be inflamed with passion or desire, be ardent. To destroy something with fire, to expose the action of fire, roast, broil, toast, burn. Alright, to shine, glitter, sparkle, glow like fire. To burn, light. To kindle. That's very interesting. To kindle. Because isn't Kindle something that we use to read nowadays? Right? Amazon offers their version of books through Kindle. So even to read is to be on fire, which is interesting. Right? Because as the Ethiopian, as the copper color ones, you should love to read. This should be something within you. But they snatch that away from you. Why? Because they intend to keep you out the advancement of, this technological race. Right? They want to beat you in the race to everything, which is why they attach that word to everything. But to be on fire, meaning to be hot, to radiate heat. Radiate heat. Right? To be hot, to radiate heat, to burn. To radiate heat, radiation. Let's get to it, because we didn't come to waste no time. Radiate, spread in all directions from a point. To beam, shine, gleam, make beaming from radius. A beam of light, spoke of a will. See radius. Alright, and it said that, in the script, Ezekiel chapter 1, that these beams gave off a beam of light. Alright, these seraphim gave off a light. A bright light. Right? Let's continue. Radius is a cross, a shaft, staff, stake, rod, spoke of a wheel, which is a ray of light, a single ray of light, a beam of light, radius of a circle of unknown origin. When you're doing mathematics, the radius of a circle, when you're talking about the circumference and you have your radius, that is the middle point, right? When you use a compass, you take the pencil and that starts off as your radius and you move the pencil around to get your circumference, which is the perfect circle. You see how we breaking this down by using words? Y'all gonna have to get onto that Patreon so we can go ahead and break this down even smoother. Because I'm gonna be able to show you some visuals on the Patreon that I can't show you on this thing. But here we have the radius, the cross, the shaft. Alright? And when you think about a spoke of a wheel, the spoke is just one direction, okay? One burst of light in the sense, or a piece of wood, whereas the wheel or the radius is in the center. Alright, a spoke shoots out from that center. So if you're applying this to yourself as the Ethiopian, every natural man, every Adam from the autochthonous soil is literally a spoke, a ray of the sun. Alright? Now, the true pagans, the ones that came to colonize, saw your attachment to the high science and deemed you as sun worshippers. But you were never worshiping the sun. You had the knowledge, the geometric knowledge, the sacred geometry, which is the mathematics and the science combined. Alright? Which is what spirituality is. Or the study of the soul, because we're talking about that of the sun. You come from that portal, that dimension they call the sun, which is why you burn up. And at the same time, as the Ethiopian, your so-called melanin is what protects you from burning up, literally. Okay, they deemed you as sun worshippers based off this information. The spoke is the radius of a wheel. Spoke of a wheel, radius. Okay, a large nail or a sharp point. You're supposed to be sharp, which is why, as brethren, as sisters of the tribe, as the conglomerate, the whole, we sharpen one another, right? We sharpen each other when exchanging such info, which is why I miss, coming to you guys and building, which is why we're here for part 3. Real quick, let's try to get this in real time. Let's see. Let's get us a new tab right here. We're gonna Google. We're gonna get spoke of a wheel. All right. Now, when we dig on the image, okay. The hub, it's the center point, the radius, and the individual spokes. All right, individual spokes. So everyone's attached, everyone is connected, which is why we say there is no separation, especially those who are of the sun. All right, the soul. You've been shot forth into all directions, all 4 corners of this plane, the earth. Underneath the firmament as the ether opens. All right, when they snatch different cousins of ours off their land and brought them here for this amalgamation of the copper-colored race, they brought confusion. Then they threw the blanket term African to further confuse you, to drive you into the abyss, which is why they call Ethiopia Abyssinia, to further drive you into the dark. But as the Israelite, the Amarukan, you begin to shine, you begin to burn, you begin to provide that light. You are the individual soul. So together we are the collective souls, as soul brothers, soul sisters. All right, when we're digging on these things out from the radius, and radius is what? The root. Radius is the root. And to radiate means to spread in all directions from a point. To beam. To give off rays of light or heat. Alright, the spoke of a wheel. Alright, to give off rays. To be radiant, to shine, to burn. To burn, to be hot, to kindle, to glow like fire. Alright. Next we have the wheel. The wheel is the so-called circle, which revolves or moves around. Alright. Here's this word, car. Okay, I want you to keep this in mind because I remember telling you to hold on to cart, right, when we were digging on the Merkabah. Let's get it real quick. The cart. The chariot. The chariot. The cart. Right. The wheel. I also told you to replace the will with chakra. We're going to see why. We are definitely going to see why. Okay, but the motion that the circle or the wheel moves in is in a circle. The figure of a circle is a plane figure whose periphery is everywhere, equidistant from its center. All right, that's no different than a spoke. From the center point, it spreads out everywhere. Everywhere. And as the copper-colored races, as the original Aborigines, you were everywhere. You were spread out everywhere on this plains. All right, you were spread out everywhere. They found the Ethiopian everywhere. They found the Maroons, the Khans, the so-called Indians everywhere on this landmass. Let's not get it twisted, right? Because the land of modern day India was called Hindustan. Hindustan. Hindus, which meant Indian killer. Okay? The etymological breakdown of the Hindus were Indian killers. So how can the Hindus now be referred to as Indians? After the confusion, I can see how. Right? But we're talking about you. The true, the root, the radius. That which that beings. To be hot and radiate. To shine in all directions. From the root, from the source, from the center. Alright. Let's dodge all hijacks. Ring, circular band. Right? Something curved, circle. Also horizon. Alright. So they like to focus on rotation because they want you thinking we are in this revolution. But you're not in the revolution because you are the root. Okay, but the wheel does spin. And we're going to get to that. So keep in mind, I was telling you to keep chakra, right? It is a spiritual center of power in the human body. Meaning circle. Meaning what? Circle or will. And when you meditate, your chakras do revolve. They do spin. But the spin is more of an oscillation. No different than a fan. Alright? When you build the so-called chi, it spins. It's oscillation. It's breathing. Alright? It's in constant motion. Just like when we were touching on the seraphim, right? And the chariots. Where was it at? And I really dislike it when this happens, when I can't go back to it. Basically, we saw somewhere in here, if y'all bring it back, that was it in the Chariots? Maybe it was in the Chariots. Let's see, let's try one more. It was in constant motion. Constant motion. Here it goes right here. The chariot is in a constant state of motion, and the energy behind this movement runs according to this hierarchy. Alright, and this is similar to the chariot of the Most High. So you see how we're connecting this? The wheels. Alright? The wheel. It's in constant motion, and Hawa is always in constant motion, as so is the breath. The breath is always constant. And you know this for a fact, because if you don't wake up breathing, you're basically dead. So the breath has to be constant. Alright? Revolve, to change direction, to bend around, to turn. Alright? To go back again, to roll, unwind, happen again. Alright? It's happen again, which is why we have children. Because this process doesn't stop. It keeps going and going and going and going. Now notice how revolve also means to meditate, to roll, to meditate. And when you're rolling, you have motion, and those chakras are nothing but motion. It's nothing but action, to be active. This is why you have to take a rest. Resting, especially on your rest day, is a part of healing. You need to heal. Can you imagine a newborn not ever going to sleep? Would that newborn grow to its fullest capacity? Would that newborn be healthy? I don't think so. So why wouldn't you give yourself any rest? Right? Meditate. Now that's interesting. Keep this in mind, just like I've been telling you to keep everything else in mind. Roll up a piece of paper. Nah, scratch that. We don't like that. What are we looking for? We're looking for will. When you throw them wheels on your car, you are rolling. What the bro Nip say? Rolling. You keep them wheels in motion. And that was from Cali to Texas, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? Toe Texas, what it do? Yosef the real. My jigger. Roll is the will. Right, when we were looking at the spoke, you throw some rubber on this, right? You throw some rubber on this omeka, and you put the omek around this, it becomes a will. Right? It becomes a will. So we just rolling right now. We're in motion. We're talking about moving around, which is what the chakra does when you activate it with the breath. It oscillates. Alright? Everything that you use around you is just the function of the body. And they've repackaged this knowledge and sold it to you because they understood that you not being aware, you would buy. Once you understand the body, you can apply this knowledge to everything to basically help take care of the body on this physical plane. We're going to keep it rolling though. We get into the meditate, to ponder, think abstractly, engage in mental contemplation. All right. Meditation, to meditate, to think over, reflect, consider. Take appropriate measures, which is to be prudent. Prudent is taking appropriate measures, not necessarily willing to take a risk. To plan in the mind. Freestyling is a form of meditation. Meditate, right? And you activate your chakras, your wills, which is the Merkabah, through this meditation. Meditation. All right. Let's keep it going. Alright, look like they want to jam us up, so, oh, here we go. It was weird. Mind, that which feels, wills, and thinks, the intellect. Mind. Now, a lot of people think mind is the brain. It is not. Alright? Mind is not the brain. They're two separate things. I believe that the mind is the soul. The living plasma, which is the blood. Alright? We have memory applied to the mind. Remembrance, the state of being remembered. Thought, purpose, conscious mind, intellect, intention. To love. Originally, memory, loving memory. Mind. You love with your mind. People say you love with your heart. You feel with your heart. But love is a choice, is it not? And when you make that choice up, it's in the mind. Which is why they say mind over matter. Which is just another breakdown from mom. Aha to Ama. Mind, right? The intellect or intention. We're going to carry it on, peace. To think, imagine, conceive in the mind, consider, meditate, remember, intend, wish, or desire. Cause to appear to oneself. Right? Seem to appear. That's what think is. You summon something. You summon what? Your memories? Which is how I know we are of an ancient people. Because to think is the memory to be passed down. That's why people have to be trained to think, but you know, to some of us it comes naturally. To conceive in the mind, to consider, meditate, remember, intend, wish, desire. Cause to appear to oneself. Very powerful, impactful information when you unload it like this. Memory, recollection, remembrance, awareness, or consciousness. Memory is your consciousness. Alright? So when you activate your memory, you're becoming conscious. Right? It says also fame, renown, reputation. Whoa. Fame, noun, renown, and reputation. Memory. Men of renown, men of memory. Those who remember. Those who have the mental capacity to retain consciousness. Especially that which is unconscious due to trauma. Fame, renown, reputation. We're talking about those who can summon memory by way of meditation. You see where we're going? You see where we're going? We're going to keep this, right? Consciousness. Consciousness is the internal knowledge. Bang. Internal knowledge. The state of being aware in one's own mind. Not everybody can do this, fam. Not everybody can surf the wave. Not everybody was meant to sail the sea. Sweet dreams and made of D's, right? Consciousness. Internal knowledge. We're just talking about remembrance, remembering. All my real ones know I've been saying that from day one. Remember. We're going to keep it going. To live. To be alive. Have life. Continue life to experience. Alright? To supply oneself with food. Procure a means of sustenance. Pass life in a specified fashion. To be left. To live on. Of fire to burn. Do you see that? Bang. To burn. To burn. Now, when we were talking about the living creatures, we were talking about the living creatures, and the root was to live, which is these angels, right? They live. Day means to burn. To burn, to shine. We're talking about the same thing. To burn. Now you probably like, natural, how is this possible? How does live mean to burn? Don't worry, I wondered the same thing at first. But to be alive is to burn during the day. Again, we're only talking about the esoteric, secrets. They don't want you uncovering when we're dealing with this script. They tell you stay away from the thought of UFO and angels and aliens and all the such, when they're all the same fucking thing. Alright? Because you yourself, my naga, are extraterrestrial. Your soul is outside this earth. To burn. Lamp. A light, torch. To shine. Right? To light, to glow. It is a vessel containing flammable liquid. Alright? A flame. And the script said that they resembled that of a lamp. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was burning like coals of fire and like the appearance of lamps. Alright, you see what time it is? See how we're connecting it right here? You have more in common with these beings than you think. Your powwow is amazing, my naga. Lamp, to glow, to flash. The flame. To be alive, to live, is to burn. The flame. Alright, the cycle. Alright. The cycle of things is the will. Is the will. And when we were digging in the classroom at 432 at the Naturalist, the young Jewish rabbi kept saying, it's not will, it's cycle. It's cycle. But he did not break it down the way we're getting it right here for part 3. And they're not going to break it down the way I can show you on this Patreon. When y'all go ahead and sign up. When we really get into the bullshit that they want to hide. Alright? We're just talking about that movement once again to revolve. We're talking about chakras, which is how you activate your Merkabah. What allows you to ascend and descend at the same time. We're going to talk about it. What the scripts say? It went up and down among the living creatures. The appearance of lamps, the bright light, it moved up and down. The fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, flash, to flash. To glow, to flash, to glow, to flash, to glow, to be bright. Brightness is also synonymous with intellect, intelligence. When somebody's really smart, they're like, man, she's bright. You're damn right. A recurring series of oscillations. What did I tell you? Oscillations. Oscillations. When you get out of the mind of a hijack, not everything is spinning on the ball. Alright? The throne. The throne is known to be the seat of God. So many rappers want to sit on the throne. I used to be one of them. To hold firmly, support. To be firm. Steadfast, strong, and stable. Statute, law. Alright. The throne. The so-called chariot. Right? See all this information that comes out of etymology when you're just breaking down words? I mean, and it's a fact that these words contain the DNA of sound. And even on Etymon Online, they still be lying. They still hold back information. They still keep things hidden. We're gonna keep it going though. Chariot. Ancient vehicle used in war. Containing 2 wheels. a wagon. Oh man, argumentative of a car. Argumentative, right? Of a car. Chariot. A car. Chariot. So remember, I told you to keep these things in mind. Because if the angels are, smashing around in chariots, no wonder why you smash around in a car. And you thinking that they sold this shit to you. Nah, man, they stealing it from you, man. They steal it from you and then sell it right back to you. I mean, look at this shit. Look how sick it is. They put the card right here in your fucking face, right? Advertisement. As we're reading now. Man, this is some sick stuff. The algorithm of the Matrix is a B. You know what I mean? This shit right here, man. It ain't no joke. Let's dig on it. Car. A wheeled vehicle. Alright? A wheeled vehicle. War chariot. Two-wheel war chariot. Alright? Now, the part that I want to focus on is this. To run. And like I told you, when you keep in mind everything that I tell you to, we always come back to it full circle the way it's supposed to be when we touch it in real time. So I want you to keep this in mind. To run. We're just talking about the car. The etymological breakdown of car, chariot, the wheel, the chakra, the cycle, the circle. We're just talking about what it means to live. Alright, which is to burn. So we smashed through these tabs and we're going to go ahead and get to the next set. Peace to the real ones. Ahab. Alright, so here we are in my Kindle. And we're digging on this book called The Shadow of Atlantis. Alright. And we're going to do a slight read and keep it moving like we do with everything else. It says the fact of the existence of the black races among the inhabitants of the lost continent mentioned in the Codex Popol is one of the greatest interests. Ethnologists imagine that Negroes appeared in the New World only during our own epoch when they were imported as slaves. And they always got to put you as a slave, right? But nobody ever talks about the shit that we just got through breaking down. It says, but the most recent researches demonstrate that they first came to America in a period very remote, very long ago. It says the Popol Vuh relates that after the cataclysm befell the former fatherland of the Quechas, or the Quiches, one part of its spared population immigrated westward. Alright? Immigrated westward, i.e. to America, and the other eastward, presumably to Europe or to Africa. Perhaps these latter immigrants were the forefathers of the Berbers, Tuaregs, but it is not improbable that in the present African black population, the descendants of some Atlantean black-skinned tribes still exist. Quatrefages, Laplongeon, and Bancroft have proved that certain aboriginal Negro tribes inhabited America not so very long ago. Some statues of the Indian gods in Central America possess typical Negro features in certain prehistoric monuments. They undoubtedly represent Negroes. We have, for instance, such statues in the Teotihuacan and Palenque, and a gigantic Negro's head carved in granite near the Mexican volcano of Taxia. It says, I have seen the statuette of a Negro in the archaeological collection of Mr. Ernesto Franco in Ecuador. According to the opinion of local archaeologists, this statuette is at least 20,000 years old. The autochthonous black races in America were either gradually mixed with the Indian ones or became extinct. But in a very remote times, Negroes or Negroids were numerous in the New World. It is possible, however, that some black individuals were drifted to America by the strong currents existing in the ocean between Africa and the New World. That was the opinion of Quatrefages. O'Donnelly proposes the same hypothesis, affirming that plants, animals, and men were probably carried from one continent to another by strong sea currents. Which is some bullshit, right? But you gotta dodge your own hijack. Once I had the opportunity of living for about a month in Oyapock, a locality in a lonely situation among the equatorial forests of French Guiana. There I saw many representatives of the local Negro tribe of Saramacas, which lives all by itself and it is ruled by its own chief. The Saramacas are divided into several clans, and each clan possesses a sort of coat of arms tattooed on the faces of its members. The opinions of scientists concerning the origin of the Saramacas vary. While some consider these Negroes to be an autochthonous American tribe, others think that the Saramacas are none else than the progeny of ancient slaves imported into South America who deserted from their masters in the forests of Guyana. All right, and let's go. Let's keep going. The Saramacca tongue resembles the dialect of the African Gold Coast, which is situated directly opposite to the Guyana shores. My own view is that the latter hypothesis is wrong. Clearly, it would be very difficult to transport into slavery an entire tribe, and still more difficult for that tribe to escape together with his wives and children. The complement of the slaves groups was always entirely casual, so that each group of slaves was composed of the representatives of various tribes. Furthermore, the Saramacas of today are very kind-hearted people, friendly to the whites, which would have not been the case if their ancestors had been slaves, subjected to the bestial cruelty of planters. So I am inclined to believe that Saramacas are the last aboriginal Negro tribe preserved in America. And we're going to go ahead and dig on that because he just pointed out some major facts. We're going to get to it. And like I said, every time we do this, we get some real shit. We get to that water. Drive Nation got that water. You got that water. Drive Nation got that water. I mean, we gonna get to it. So peace to the real ones. And let's break this shit on down. Alright, so here we have the tab for Saramacca. It says the Saramacca are one of the 6 Maroon peoples, formerly called Bush Negroes in the Republic of Suriname, and one of the Maroon peoples in French Guiana. Skip all that. Okay, so that's what they refer to him as, right? I'm not so much concerned about all this other shit because we just got the drop. Now let's take a look at homie right here. Okay. Now, if you see what we see, this is the definition of American according to the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. And how can some escaped slaves become tribal all of a sudden over here in a brand new land that they never been in? How would they even know where to run or to escape, especially if they're fighting opposing tribes like modern day Indians who want to push the go back to Africa thing just like these folk? It does not make sense, like the author stated in the book The Shadow of Atlantis. It says the word maroon comes from the Spanish cimarron, which was derived from an Arawakan root, right? Arawakan. Now it says that since the 1990s especially, some of the Saramaka have migrated to French Guiana due to the extended civil war in Suriname. By the early 16th century, the term Maroon was used throughout the Americas to designate slaves who had escaped from slavery and set up independent communities beyond colonist control. Together with 5 other Maroon tribes in Suriname and French Guiana, the Saramaka formed the largest group in the world of Maroon peoples of African descent. And this is where they get you, right? Because you're a myth. What did we get in the intro of this drop? That you are a myth. Right? But look, let's dig on this. It says the 90,000 Saramaka in Suriname, of whom living neighboring French Guiana, are one minority within this multi-ethnic nation. Now, why would multi-ethnic peoples come together if they're not of the same complexion? It says the Saramaka, together with other Maroons in the Suriname and French Guiana, the Inyuka, 90,000, and the Matawi, Paramaka, Aloku, and Quinty, who together number some 25,000, constitute by far the world's largest surviving population of Maroons of so-called African descent. But these folks ain't from Africa. It says since their escape from slavery in the 17th, 18th centuries, who the fuck, how do 90,000 plus 25,000? So we're looking at roughly, if we take 10, 15, we're looking at 115,000 tribal people who escaped slavery. I've never heard of such things. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it, fam. Never heard of it. And trust, I did the research. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of 115,000 people escaping slavery at once, and then going to form their own society that cannot be controlled by colonists even till this day. I've never heard of it, fam. I've never heard of it. These are ridiculous claims. I've never heard of it. We need to shatter these lies for once and for all, right? So we're going to go ahead and dig into the next tribe, right? Because we're talking 90,000. When we dig on the etymology of maroon, it says very dark red or crimson color. Very dark red or crimson color. Maroon. It means very dark red. What is this slavery business? What is that? Where did that come from, right? We're talking about chestnut, to be the same color of chestnut. Not to say this is who these people are, because we're not colors of crayons. But let's dig on it, right? Maroon, it means to be very dark red. When we're talking about, I gotta bring it up. When we're talking about, and this is why they had to get rid of it, right? We're gonna wait for it to do its thing. This is why they had to get rid of it. You see, look, it's crazy. This is why they had to get rid of it. Alright? This is why they had to get rid of it, because we're waking up. We're waking up. This is a maroon. This is a maroon right here. And they're trying to say that he escaped slavery by the 100,000? By the 100,000. It's not making no sense. It's not making no sense. Alright? It's not making no sense whatsoever. If we can scroll back up real quick. This is why they had to get rid of it, fam. No doubt. Alright? Man, it's tweaking right now. Okay? Maroon. We're talking about very dark red or crimson. Maroon. Maroon. Okay, let's dig on crimson. I don't want to be too repetitive. It says highly chromatic, deep color red. Highly chromatic, deep color red. Okay? Deep color red. Red. Okay? Red. So when they're talking about the red man, right? Look, deep purplish red. We're talking red. The same color as this, right? The same color as this. This is why they had to remove it. This is why they want to remove it. You know, this so-called bias is international. This shit is a global thing. And yes, I said global because they're the ones that believe we're on the ball. Right? Which is why they removed the football logo. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about maroon. Now look. They said that fugitive black slave living in the wilder parts of Dutch Guyana or Jamaica or other West Indies islands. Alright? Fugitive. Fugitive, which means what? To run away. Right? To run away. A fugitive runs away. Alright? They run away. Now let's see if we can get that back. When we go here, I said escape, right? Escape from slavery, Cimarron, which means those who escape. They ran away, right? A runaway slave is those who run away, right? It says they escaped into the dense rainforest. Escape. They ran away. Now, when we were digging on the other tab, car means to run. Runaway. You see what's going on? You see how we just connected that back to the car? You see how this is all about you? As the Ethiopian, we're just talking about that ether. We're talking about those who naturally burn in the day, right? I mean, maroon, a chestnut color, a very dark crimson red, all right? Crimson red, highly chromatic, deep red color. We're just talking about you. Kind of like the one on the football helmet better, right? Like, this is the real deal right here. Peep it. This is the real deal. Slave. Right? We know that originally it came from the word Slav, because the Slavs were thrown into human trafficking. Now, I don't condone human trafficking of any kind whatsoever. Alright? A runaway slave. You see this? You see the term? Runaway slave. Runaway. Car means to run. Man. This is why y'all gonna have to sign up for the Patreon. If y'all want to. Alright? You are a myth. You are a living myth right now. Your reality ain't real at all. Alright? So I want you to keep this in mind. Negro, blackamoor, figuratively used for a slave without regard to race. Bang. Right? You see it? Because we're going to dig on it. Matter of fact, let's continue. Let's continue this dig. Because it said what? It said that robot was a part of slaves. So let's dig on robot. Because we got robots everywhere. We got robots doing all kind of shit, which proves to you that these people are forcing a slave society. Robot. Which means what? Forced worker. To work, to drudge. Servitude. Slave. Robot. What's connected to robot? Orphans. What are orphans? I mean, let's go. Let's dig on it. What are orphans? A child bereaved of one or both parents, generally the latter. Literally deprived. Bereft. That means you have no parents. Alright? They set up to remove you from your parents so that you can be a robot, aka a slave. For them. For them, this is what they do. They create the orphanages. They create these orphanages and then they traffic these children as they so please, as they see fit. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. That is some sick shit. Orphan. It is attached to robot. Alright? Pass from one status to another. This is why we're minorities, right? Orphan. You see what's going on? You see how sick this game gets? Peace to the real one, my jigger. We just talking about ether. You know, we're gonna keep it going. Cause he's talking about black holes and all kind of stuff, right? But look, we're gonna dig on the so-called blackamoor. Alright? It says usually it is depicting highly styled figures, usually African males, but sometimes other non-European peoples, in subservient or exoticized form. Alright? The Iberian Peninsula, historically, the word does not exist. The Castilian word for Moor was moro. Moro for a black Negro. Portuguese negro, petro, or preto. Alright? The term blackamoor is now viewed by some as racist and culturally insensitive. Blackamoors are still produced in Italy, mainly Venice, with the United States as the biggest importer in the world. Alright? I mean, look. Who remembers this drop? The flag of Sardinia. Alright? We're just talking about these Moors, right? And this is not to throw shots, because right now, this is all about the copper colored races. This is all about everything from all corners of the earth, right? Look, 4 corners. 4 corners. Alright? In heraldry, a blackamoor may be a charge in the blazon, or in the coat of arms, the flag, or the description of a coat of arms. See? Now it said here that Suriname used a coat of arms. Maybe that was back in the book. Let's see, maybe it was back in the book. right here. The Saramakas are divided into several clans, and each clan possesses a sort of coat of arms tattooed on the faces of its members. Now we're going back to coat of arms, and we're digging on it. Right? We're digging on it. On a coat of arms. Alright, it says the isolated head of a Moors is blazoned, a Moor or a Moor's head. The reasons for the inclusion of a black or Moor head vary. The Moor's head on the crest that appears on the arms of Lord Kirkcudbright, and in consequence the modern crest badge used by Clan Maglilian is supposed to derive from the killing of a Moorish bandit known as Black Moro. Okay, so let's dig on this Black Moro. Whoa, what happened? Alright, it says Black Moro, also known as Black Murray and Outlaw Murray, is the name given to a late 15th century Scottish outlaw. A popular ballad makes the bandit as living in the Ettrick Forest, while a record of oral tradition in Wood, Kirkcudbrightshire, in tradition the outlaw is described as a gypsy, Moor, or Saracen, and more commonly an Irishman or from Ireland. The folklorist David McRitchie took a strong interest in the ethnicity of the outlaw because of his dark skin, alright, and the story commonly quoted in modern Afrocentrist literature. So they said that they killed him based off the fact that he was an outlaw. An outlaw is no different than an exilarch. And we already know who was the exilarchs. We already know who got kicked out of their land based off the color of their skin, based off what they look like. I mean, yes, they broke the laws and statutes and commandments, but this shit right here is crazy. This shit right here is crazy. Okay. So we just pieced that together. We're gonna go ahead and dig on dark skin. Dark skin, alright. Says dark skin is a human skin color that is rich in melanin pigments, especially eumelanin. People with very dark skin are often referred to as black people. Although this usage can be ambiguous in some countries, where it's also used to specifically refer to different ethnic groups or populations. The evolution of dark skin is believed to have begun around 1.2 million years ago in light-skinned early hominin species, which is why we always smash this shit when we come to this channel, right? After they moved from the equatorial rainforest to the sunny savannas. In the heat of the savannas, better cooling mechanisms were required, which were achieved through the loss of body hair and the development of more efficient perspiration. Now, when we look at these so-called light-skinned peeps, what do we get? These people. So they're saying dark skin came out of this. You have to be joking. You know, you got the vice president talking about systematic racism does not exist. This shit's a joke. But fuck all that, right? Because we've crushed this shit plenty of times on this channel. But just the fact that they're willing to even say this is the case, right? That the dark skin happen this way. First of all, there is no evolution. It says the loss of body hair led to the development of dark skin pigmentation, which acted as a mechanism of natural selection against folate depletion and to a lesser extent DNA damage. The primary factor contributing to the evolution of dark skin pigmentation was the breakdown of folate in reaction to the ultraviolet radiation. The relationship between folate breakdown induced by ultraviolet radiation and reduced fitness as a failure of normal embryogenesis and spermatogenesis led to the selection of dark skin pigmentation. By the time so-called modern Homo sapiens evolved, all humans were dark skinned. I'm done. I mean, we don't fuck with Wikipedia in the first place, but yo, this shit is trash. This shit is trash, right? Because as you can see, there's something going on in our society where they regulate the information based off skin tone, and it has to deal with this ether connection, and it's disgusting. So peace to the real ones. We're gonna carry on to the next tab. Let's get it. Alright, so here's a tab right now dealing with the state of Alabama. Alright, and it'll tell you that Alabama is from the land of these tribes. Notice how they said also the so-called space age, right? We got that drop in the very beginning. Go back to the very beginning real quick and peep it out. Because like I said, everything connects. But peep this. Alright? I'm talking about Alabama. Okay. This being the original version. Now they're saying the origin of the name Alabama is thought to come from the combination of two Choctaw words, Alba and Amo. In Choctaw, Alba means vegetation, herbs, plants, and Amo means gatherer or picker. Vegetation gatherers or vegetation pickers would be an apt description for Alabama Indians who cleared much of the land for agricultural purposes. All right. Gatherer or picker, vegetation gatherers or vegetation pickers. Why am I highlighting this? Because there was an act that was practiced highly in the southern states. All right. And that was the picking of cotton. Picking of cotton. Right, picking of cotton. And when we dig on the history, it says no one knows exactly how old cotton is. Scientists searching caves in Mexico found bits of cotton balls and pieces of cotton cloth that proved to be at least 7,000 years old. Alright, they also found the cotton itself was much like that grown in America today. Cotton that's 7,000 years old. Alright. 7,000 years old. Found in Mexico. So that's the oldest piece that they found, right? It says Arab merchants brought cotton cloth to Europe about 800 AD when Columbus discovered bullshit, right? When Columbus came to America in 1492, he found cotton growing in the Bahama Islands. By 1500, cotton was known generally throughout the world. Okay, so is this why they had to make the Saramaka so-called slaves? So that they can get this cotton picking business going? Because this is around the same region. Look. Plantations. Alright. See how this shit is all connected? Furthermore, like I told you, I've done the research. Right? When you search 90,000 runaway slaves, nothing pops up. nothing pops up. They'll tell you about Spartacus. Where other runaway slaves joined the band after defeating two. Ultimately, their numbers grew to at least 90,000. They'll tell you about Spartacus in Rome. But they won't tell you 90,000 runaway slaves altogether escaped to form a civilization, aka tribe, known as the Maroons. Saramaka. They're not going to talk about that because it's never happened before. Right? But they'll tell you about this. Ellen and William Craft, who were American slaves from Macomb, Georgia. Alright? And it said that Ellen Craft, which is this lady, she passed as a white male planter and he as her personal servant. And then they go down to say the light-skinned quadroon. Maroon quadroon. You see what's happening? When we dig on the term maroon, right? Roon being the root word. And when we go back to talking about quadroon, I mean, I cannot ignore the similarities. I know you see what's going on with me. I know you see this with me. I know you see this with me. We're going to move on because we got to wrap this up. Right? When we're talking about the heat, we're talking about warmth, the quality of being hot, ardor, heat, hot weather. Right? Heat, hot. When we're talking about flame, we're talking about a fire in general, fire as an element, heat, fire. All right, when we were digging on those four living creatures, one was representative of a man, right? We're talking about the zodiac, which would be the Aquarius. One was representative of an ox, the Taurus or bull. One was representative of a lion, which is Leo. Summertime, flame. One was representative of an ego. Okay, some would say that that's Scorpio, water. We're talking about elements. Tetramorph. Flame. Two blades, right? Two blades. And when we go to the Blackmore, it says a blaze on. You see this shit? Alright, we're talking about that fire, we're talking about that ether. Which is to burn. Fire. Fire. When you dig on fire, it tells you that the word was preserved, not in the term that we're looking at right now, but in fiery. Flaming full of fire. Fury, fire. Hot as fire. We're talking about blazing red. Look at this shit. Blazing red. Blazing red. We'll get back to the maroon. We're talking about a very dark red or crimson color. Right? Blazing red. Let's dig on red. red. Ruddy. Red, ruddy. People of the book, right? I'm gonna go back up. Burnish, right? Brighten, burnish, copper. Copper. All right, and the people of the book were known to be ruddy. 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 We're talking red. Okay. The color designation of Native Americans in English from 1580s. So when they say red, they're talking about this red. They're talking about maroon. Man, don't let these guys fool you. Don't let them play with you. All right. When we get this word, where is it at? I'm just gonna look it up. Is that it? What was the word? Hold on, I don't want to make a mistake. Damn. Shit tripping on me. It knows what I'm on. It always tweaks when they know I'm on. This is the word anyway, right? Adore. Alright, to burn. An eagerness, a zeal, to burn. To glow. Inflammation, alright? We're not playing with these guys, man. Cosmos. Alright. The cosmos, which is where the ether is. Order. Good order, orderly arrangement. Alright. The cosmos are of order. To dispose, prepare, but especially to order and arrange troops. To deck, adorn, equip, dress, especially of women. Ornaments of a woman's dress, decoration. The crown, right? Dressing hair and cosmetics. You see how this always goes back to Amma? Cosmetics, look. Firmament. The firmament being the ether. Edifice. A building. We got this in the last drop, right? to burn, burning. See it? You see it with me? So the Merkabah being the car, being the chariot, being the chakra once it's fully accessed. I mean, we're not playing with these guys, man. Alright? We're not playing with these guys. Heavenly forces ascending and descending. We are all familiar with the shoots of spring, the wealth of flowers in the summer, the ripe fruit in the autumn, and the bare earth in winter. In his lectures, The Four Seasons and the Archangels, Rudolf Steiner indicated that there is more to these processes of nature than meets the eye. The course of the year is a living temporal organism, a great process of breathing in and breathing out, similar to the human respiratory process. Breathing in corresponds to the autumn and winter, breathing out to spring and summer. We can perceive the individual phenomenon of this temporal organism in many different sub-processes of mineral, plant, and animal life, in the weather, the clouds, and in the air, and heat and cold, and the sun, stars, and moon. All these different spheres are interrelated, coordinated in the course of the year, and form a unified whole. They represent a great, always reforming and changing fabric. Thus I work on the speeding loom of time, weaving the living garments of the divine. The earth spirit says, and ghosts false, creating an apt image for us, this living happening that occurs around us and affects us. It says, spring, the earth turns salty. We experience spring above all through its blossoms. Violets, anemones, daffodils, tulips, and meadows of blossoming fruit trees give us great pleasure at this time of year. But this multitude of blossoms is not what is actually happening in spring. It is only the result of the warmth from the previous year, which was stored through the winter in the bulb, the bud on the tree, or the seed in the earth. Spring means reuniting the earth. The plants and seeds were thrown wholly back onto themselves during winter with no interrelationship with the environment. Spring then is the time when the soil comes back to life with the most intensive root growth, and the first step, the plant unites with the earth. The scent of the soil changes in spring. Only then does the plant emerge from the earth. Calcium and carbon dioxide are important for this connection with the earth. They form the salt of the earth. Right? And doesn't your good book tell you that you are the salt of the earth? Calcium also forms the human and animal skeleton, but we also find it in stalks, wood, and roots. A concentration and rooting process takes place, which is prerequisite for the sprouting life we know from spring. The growth and sprouting of spring has come to a halt. Shimmery heat lies over the ripe cornfields. Larkspur gleams blue, and the roses spread their scent. Bees buzz in the linden trees. It is summer, dream time while time stands still. Earth and cosmos come together. And here nature brings development to a halt with mighty hands and guides it gently into a greater perfection. It says in Goethe's Metamorphosis of the Plant, what sprouts and burgeons is arrested at its height in summer, A layer of warmth which makes everything hold its breath descends from out of the cosmos. Growth stops. There is a pulse. The process which takes place in plants at this time is a delicate fire process. The protein in the plant is burned and thereby turned into the most delicate etheric scents in resin forms. The liquid starch is transformed into nectar and thus into food for the bees. This is a fire-related event of summer in which vitality is sacrificed to create color and substance and make food for humans. Rudolf Steiner compares this combustion process to cooking, only in the case it is nature doing the cooking. So this is why live means to burn. Alright, because we're just talking about the summer, we're just talking about the heat. Alright, we're gonna get this last one. Oh wait, there's another one. Oh, there's winter. Damn, alright, we got these last two. In autumn, nature shows us in great gesture how to let go. Rilke put this process into words in his autumn poem. The leaves they fall as if afar, they wither in the distant heaven gardens. They fall with gestures of negation, and in the night the heavy earth it falls from all the stars to loneliest seclusion. The intimate penetration of the soul of the earth and the cosmos which takes place in summer devolves again the autumn. The dull thud of falling apples and clutching walnuts, the smell of withering leaves, indeed of decay, the bonfire of the harvested fields, that is autumn. The birds fall silent, there is a jangling, a rustling among the leaves and the branches from which life is withdrawing. The fruits ripen in autumn. Ripening and the development of aroma are mineralization processes, something we would not think they are ash processes which are not completed. The development of fruit of seeds thus means ash formation in a higher sense.